All right, let's talk How to Train Your Dragon 2025. I guess you guys are here because you want to hear my review on How to Train Your Dragon. Why? Because the movie launched yesterday in theaters everywhere. Everywhere. And I think it's grossed about 43 to 45 million dollars kind of plus. I mean, the budget's about 150 million dollars. It's a DreamWorks production film. Now, it's based on, I mean, there's a lot of people are going to be comparing it to the animation version back in 2010. The there is some differences. There's quite a bit of differences, and yeah, we'll kind of get into that. So it was directed by Dean DeBlois, and it's based on How to Train Your Dragon, the novel back in 2003 by Cressida Cowell. And so, starting Mason Thames, Nico Parker, Gabrielle Howell, Julian Dennison, lots and lots of actors in this film. So let's kind of get right to it, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of Vikings in this film actually, so it's kind of cool. So let's talk about let's talk about let's talk about that faithful adaptation, right? I think that's really important, and the remake is largely a beat for beat retelling of the 2010 animated version, animated classic, with some slight minor deviations, of course. And the visuals, the music were on par, guys. The visuals, the music were unbelievable, and obviously there's a lot of kudos and praise to the special effects, and kudos to the returning composer John Powell, who helped recapture a lot of that magic from the original. So that was a huge plus point. It did have a little less of an emotional impact in this film, because again, when you're going from animation to kind of like a real life version, there is going to be some changes, right? So that heartfelt charm and emotion that people had when they watched the first film, there might have been a slight disconnect in this film, because a lot of those things are easier to convey through animation, right? And that it is what it is, guys. I mean, it had a longer runtime. All right. The new version was about 30 minutes longer, you can say. Yeah, some people that were watching the film, and there was some people who were arguing the point that it felt like it was dragging on a little bit longer. So there's two sides to every coin, of course, but yeah, it did kind of feel like that at times, and so when we're talking about the audience reaction, um, it wasn't overwhelmingly glowing by any standards, but the movie was definitely enjoyable. I felt it was enjoyable, and I'm gonna recommend this movie. I'm gonna recommend everybody watch How to Train Your Dragon. Now, whether if you want to compare it to the original, I am gonna give the slight edge to the original. I am, but that said, you have to watch this film, and if you can't remember the original, watch the original first, and then go watch this film. But if you get a chance, definitely, definitely, definitely watch it at the theaters. Um, it was really interesting because there was a lot of criticism. I felt like a lot of people around us who are kind of talking about, um, just kind of complaining a little bit about the technical aspects of the film, and like, for example, like some of the highlights. Like, I don't want to give it away, but Mason Thames played Hiccup, right? And so Mason Thames did an incredible job, by the way. But to try to recapture uh, Jay Bruckel's, like, uniquely awkward charm, that was a bit of a challenge, right? Astrid was wooden, and it at some points it felt that the romance was a little forced. It's okay for me to say that. This whole live action adaptation challenge, I believe, reflecting on, when you talk about modern CGI, and CGI is coming up a lot, right? A lot of our films now, everything's CGI, right? And it's replacing a lot of the animated films because the technology and the graphics, everything that goes into CGI and what CGI is today is a lot different, guys, than it used to be. Um, but yeah, there's definitely there is a difference between live action and digital animation, hands down. And so I'll let you kind of delve into that a little bit, maybe do a deep dive. Like I said, the music for me was probably one of the huge plus points. Probably one of the best and most successful returns. Like I said, the composer did fantastic job. Um, yeah, and so like watching this movie was like watching, essentially it was like watching a longer extended cut. Yeah. Didn't really offer anything much new than what we're already privy to. I still feel the animated version had an edge, and some people would argue that it was the animated version was a little bit more superior to this. So I'll let you guys kind of figure that out. Um, there's definitely some controversy when it comes to this film. I'm not going to get into it, but there was some audience sentiment and cultural changes and personal reaction to certain things that some people might find controversial. Some people were complaining that Astrid was a little bit mean, kind of like a girl boss. There was a shift in her personality, kind of made her feel a little bit more aggressive at times, somewhat political. There was a lot, like when it came to casting, and I was talking about Vikings. There was so many Vikings. Like when I think of Vikings, I didn't realize how many Vikings, like multi-ethnic and diverse Vikings there were from pretty much all corners of the globe. So diversity casting definitely was there. Um, yeah, you gotta watch the film. I'm trying to refrain from going too much into detail because I want you guys to watch the film. So I'm trying to just kind of do this more in a process type of format, just kind of touch on things. But yeah, just think of Vikings and think of the image you see in your brain. Like that you see when I say the word Viking, or when you think of Vikings. What do you think? And just think about, and then when you see the movie, you'll kind of get what I'm trying to say. And again, nothing wrong with that, but it's different, a little different. So essentially, yeah, despite the criticism, there was a lot of clapping at the end as well too. So a lot of people were happy, and it was quite entertaining. Definitely above average film. It was enjoyable, and would I watch it a second time? I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, the first film was definitely a little bit better. I give it an edge. Overall, it was pretty good. So yeah, if you're a fan of the original, it's worth a watch at least once out of curiosity and for love of the story. But if you've never seen the animated version, my opinion is watch that first before watching this film. Right? It's still the definitive version. Okay? And if you're critical of remakers or DEI shifts in storytelling, you might find this one a bit more transparent in its updates, somewhat controversial for better or for worse. All right, and that's my review, guys. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know if you'd like a little bit more of a breakdown of the cast and some other details pertaining to the film. Because it's so new, I think maybe I'm going to hold off. I'm going to wait, and then maybe I'll do another one down the road so that I can hear some of your comments, some feedback, and then maybe we can get into a discussion about that. So thanks for joining, guys, and I will catch you guys on the next one.